The Director General, Directorate of Technical Cooperation of Africa says solution to Africa's problems lies in the application of science, technology, and research. A former ambassador of Nigeria to Venezuela said this during a visit to Pan-African University of Life and Earth Sciences Institute, University of Ibadan.
Africa is known to have a large population engaged in agriculture, but unfortunately it is rural agriculture, and the production level is such that we are not producing enough food and cash crops, to be self-sufficient, and that is where Africa spends a lot of money importing food from other continents, and that shouldn't be. It is only through the application of science and technology and the researches that have been conducted all across Africa that we'll be able to raise the level of our productivity to an extent that it would reduce the amount of money we spend importing food into Africa. It is a very important sector that should form the basis of our industrialization. I don't think there is any country that has really made it without having a solid agricultural sector, feeding itself without having to import. China has over 1.3 billion people, but they're not importing food. They grow most of their food there. And how do they do it? They mobilize their population, train them, and improve on the crops they have, So you have high-yielding crops, you have crops that are resistant to pests, and so on and so forth. So that is the way for Africa to go. Without doing that, we continue to languish and then be importing food from abroad, Western scarce foreign exchange, which we don't have.
Dagari said his visit to Ibadan to meet with Earth Sciences Institute and the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture was to seek collaboration that could move the African continent forward in terms of deployment of cutting-edge research in agriculture to farmers.
We're actually going to meet with the International Institute for Tropical Agriculture. We know they have done a lot of researches, and we want to see how we could take from the chefs what they have researched into and see how it could be taken to the end users, the farmers, perhaps incorporating the agri-extension workers, and of course using the various ministries of agriculture in the states. So that is what we are trying to do. And then Policy, the Pan-African University, is into such researches, and we want to be the midwives of bringing all these institutes and the research agencies together and see how we can work together with the government, with the state governments, with the extension workers, with the research institute all across Nigeria and Africa.
In her remarks, Director of Earth Sciences Institute, Professor Titilayo Akinlabi, appreciated the Director General of DTCA for the hand of fellowship and support given to the institute.
Part of the mandate of the African Union Commission, the Assembly of the Heads of State, when they started the Pan-African University, was to have a university that will be able to conduct cutting-edge research, that will be able to provide solutions to African problems, and to also conduct research that will be able to speak to the AU Agenda 2063 regarding having good quality education, good health services delivery, to have quality food and food security, and to eradicate diseases from the African continent. We'll include setting up a research laboratory and having equipment for students to be able to conduct research and be able to provide solutions to the problems that we are currently having on the African continent. So this is key and very important to us as an institute at this particular point in time. And setting up the laboratory, we need infrastructure for us to have a central laboratory where we will then have that we house the equipment. We would like to have their support in hosting some events at the institute to increase the visibility of the institute and also to be able to put the institute at the forefront of research.
Meanwhile, the DG of Cooperation of Africa also paid a courtesy visit to the acting Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ibadan, Professor Adebola Ekanola, in his office. The acting Vice-Chancellor was represented by Professor Kayode Adebowale, who congratulated Ambassador Dagari on his appointment. The Vice-Chancellor, while receiving Dagari, sought collaboration with DTCA to uplift the education sector to restore it to its glorious days.
One of the challenges of higher education is funding, because federal universities are not expected to charge tuition fees and some other fees. You are restricted. The financial base, is very, very weak. And without finance, there are so many things that we will not be able to do. And I think one of the challenges of higher education. And that's why, government alone, the call is that government alone cannot finance higher education. There has to be support from all the areas, all the facets, from private and so on and so forth.
In his remarks, Dagari reiterated the need for Africans to prefer solutions to the challenges through science, technology, and innovation, especially in the agriculture sector. The event featured a tour by Ambassador Dagari and the management staff of Earth Sciences Institute of the newly constructed building facilitated by the federal government through the 2012 TED Fund Special Intervention Project.